Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well, despite the chaos going on in the world right now. Today I'm taking a look at the assemblers, and I have two builds to show you. The first one comes with a Satori cap and an oppressor engine. The assembler is a weapon you can charge for more damage and projectile speed, but if you overcharge, they will heat up, which in turn makes them take more damage if they are hit. So, that's why I'm using this cap, because you can drift to get a damage increase, and in turn you don't have to think too much about the charging. Normally this weapon is used with very light sniper builds, and they just hang out in the back and chip away at enemies. But you know me, I like to be in the middle of it, so we'll see how that turns out. I've also added an iris so I get better zoom while aiming. The idea for this build is to start out by staying in the back and snipe. Then, towards the end of the match, we will be able to move fast and drift while shooting at closer range. I know this build is a little unconventional, but hopefully it will get the job done. Let me show you real quick how they work. As you can see, they are capable of dealing a lot of damage even if you don't charge them all the way. So, let's take this thing into a couple of matches. Then we'll switch to the other build, which is a little more conventional compared to this one. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start out by hanging out in the back and snipe. Then I'll try to make use of the speed and acceleration and stay on the move towards the end of the match. Those Goliath tracks came off super fast. They have a lot of resistances against everything except energy damage, so that avalanche build is quickly turning into a chicken nugget. Okay, it's time to get in there and start drifting. I have over 2500 durability, so we better put it to use before my team is obliterated. It's only me and one teammate left, so instead of fighting alone, I'm going to go towards them. We're definitely going to lose this match, but we will survive longer together. It seems like that plan failed. It's time for me to become the runner that everybody loves to hunt, while dragging out the match unnecessarily long to everyone's enjoyment. This build can tank a lot of damage, and it makes me think that I should have moved in a lot earlier than I did. So let's try that out in the next match. As you know, the Satori cab is one of my favorite cabs because of the top speed and acceleration. I try not to focus on the perk that much, because if I do, it's only going to trigger my greed for extra damage and get me killed faster. I like this build, and I think I'm gonna keep it for a while in my blueprints. I could use this as a platform for other weapons too. And I'm thinking about the Reapers. I have tried the Satori with them before, but with a lighter build compared to this one. The Reapers have a lot of recoil, so if your build is light, it's gonna affect the handling when shooting them. But this build is a lot heavier, so I think maybe that could work. And this is what it looks like when you overcharge the assemblers. The heating effect doesn't last very long, but if you're in a situation where you're being shot at, these weapons are gonna fly off before you can say cabbage. I'm gonna head for the base and just stay there. I can't see the last one anywhere, but they're shooting at me. This happens to me sometimes, and it feels confusing when I can't see them on the minimap. I understand it when they use the Griffin cap, but not when they use the Hadron like this one. Anyway, let's head back to the garage and check out the next build for today. This build is a classic assembler setup. It's using 5 of the fast hovers, an Iris, the Colossus engine, and a quantum cap. The cap boosts the damage of energy weapons by 20%, but only as long as you're not taking damage. If you get hit, the perk will be disabled until you haven't taken any damage for a few seconds, and then it'll reactivate. The engine gives movement parts more durability, which is useful when playing with hovers. I have 2 different fused quantums. The one that I'm using on this build has more power and less mass. It goes well with the hovers that are fused with 10% more acceleration. The other quantum is fused with higher mass limit, and I mostly use it on builds with wheels. I found this build on exhibition, and it has been around forever. It's an old build that I put my finishing touch on, so I have swapped out some of the old parts used on the original for some newer parts. I'll show you at the end of the video. Let's take it into a few matches and see what it can do. This build is very squishy and won't last long at close range. The drawback with a setup like this is that you don't put your durability in play directly, so you have to rely on your teammates on that part. Because of that, positioning becomes important, and you better not miss too many shots. I'm just gonna say it right now. I suck at playing these builds, and you're about to witness it. If you take a look at the mini-map, you'll see that there is a player on their way to my position. At this point, I haven't noticed yet because I'm caught up in all the action in front of me, and I'm not paying attention. Say hello to Erpiter. They recognized me and came all around the map to say hello. I appreciate that a lot, and I think it's funny. I'm sorry that I kept shooting, but I didn't realize until after that they wanted to just say hello. Nevertheless, I found it amusing, and I hope to see you again out there in the wasteland. I'm gonna try to manipulate the Retrobot to go where I want it. The Retrobots are extremely powerful and can decimate you in a few shots. This is a small map with few spots to snipe from. I'm also not in a squad, and that's why I try to push a bot to go with me for some extra firepower and cover. Again, I'm not paying attention to the minimap, and this time I got flanked hard. As you can see, I have less than 300 durability after one blast from the Destructors. This match is over for me very soon, so I'm just gonna cut it short and take us to the next one. That's a GG, and not very well played on my part. Let's try again. This map is a lot bigger than the previous one, and there's a lot more places to camp. Let's see if I can last a little longer this time. It surprises me sometimes how accurate some players are, but a good shot nonetheless. It doesn't look too good. My team is forced into this corner of the map, so I guess it's another GG. Let's do one last match before we take a look at how these things are built.
Task is to capture the enemy base. The enemy's right ahead.
This map has a few good spots for sniping, and it's fairly large. I'm just gonna stay here and shoot toward the cap, while also keeping an eye on the mini-map so I don't get flanked a third time.
Try this barefoot.
One is coming up on my right, so it's time to shift focus. All in all, I don't like this build. It has good speed and acceleration, and it can turn on a dime. But if you get hit once or twice, you're completely screwed, and I don't like that. Playing squishy builds like this is not for me, and most of the time I get irritated. I like something in between, so this build is not going to take up a slot in my blueprints. I think my job here is done. Let's go back to the garage so I can show you how both builds are put together. Let's start with the first build with the Satori and Oppressor. The way this build turned out makes me think of an old Ford console for some reason. That's how old I am. And here's how to build the hovercraft. It's nothing intricate, but I like the framework on it though. This video turned out to be a little longer than I expected. So, if you're still around, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, I'd appreciate if you leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't. You should know by now that I have implemented a debuff on my channel, so if you've watched without clicking the like button, your hair will start to smell like old cabbage. Anyway, thanks for hanging out to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.